Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to work on a project that I've been putting off and really not looking forward to with the silver car, and that is mounting the dash. So I had shown a little bit of this in one of the previous videos, but haven't gone into any great detail with it. But I have a fiberglass dash for the car, and it's actually a pretty trick piece. And it has the form of a factory dash, but is made of composite as opposed to plastic and leather and what have you. So it has all the normal forms that a factory dash would. I did this molding here to house the race pack and the billet race pack bezel that I have, but it is not mounted to anything. And today we are going to work on the mounting solution for this. So, lip just moved a little bit. Let me set you guys up over on the welding bench and we can talk about how we are going to execute this plan. So if you guys remember when I had Jared's blue SRT4 in here, I don't believe I showed very much of it or any of it on camera, but he has a very nice carbon fiber dash rather for that car. And he had a pretty ingenious mounting solution or mounting strategy to fasten it to the substructure of the dash and to make everything work harmoniously in his car. As anytime you are working with a composite dash, it's kind of on you as the end user to figure out how you're going to mount the dash into the car. And his idea, which I'm going to steal from him because I really like it a whole lot, is to use these little quick latches. So if you aren't familiar with these quick latches and how they work, they're comprised of two components. The first of which is this threaded post with a spherical end, the second of which is the actual latch itself. And when you put these two things together, you have a nice little fastening assembly that has a little bit of ability for angular movement. And as you can see, it isn't a massive amount, but that will make up for any discrepancy, any slight angular discrepancy in the actual form of the dash. So these will be what fasten the dash in the car, as I don't want to make it a permanent structure in the vehicle, as that's where, or underneath of the dash is where all of the wiring and fuse box and everything else are going to be located. And I need to have the dash be able to be removed just in the off chance that I blow a fuse, I need to do wiring diag, add things to the wiring harness, what have you. So we are going to use these quick latches in a series of probably 7 or 8 of them, if I were to guess, that will hold this dash in place from all different angles. And at the end of the day, it should be pretty sturdy and be a pretty good solution to hold the dash in place in the silver car. So let's go over and take a look at my plan as to how we're going to implement these quick latches and how this whole system is going to work inside of the car. So my plan with these quick latches is to place them in a logical series around the dash in order to fasten it from different angles and to fasten it on different faces of the dash. And in my estimation, or my logic behind this, is if you have all these quick latches hitting it from different angles, that prevents movement from on different planes of movement, and it will help to hold the dash in more securely. So what we're going to do is from this corner to the corner on the opposing side over there, we will space 4 of them equidistantly along this top portion of the dash right here. Beyond that, we will take one on each side in here and place them to hold from these sides right there. And there'll be one on the passenger side here, one on the driver's side, and then we will take a final one and put it somewhere in this area right here to fasten the center console. And if need be, I will order more in to put one on the opposite side of the center console and what have you. So hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully the plan works the way that I am hypothesizing that it will. So I guess without further ado, I need to pull the dash back or pull it out of the car so I can figure out what I have as far as substructures are concerned to put tabs onto, or what will be in the way underneath of the dash to prohibit these quick latches from going in their respective homes. So let me clear out or move, I guess, all of the wiring components that I have in here, and then we can get started with figuring out how to mount this dash. After some math, some measuring, and some freehanded drawing, we have our spacing, our center line, and our drill locations located on the dash. So went ahead and I spaced the first holes, or I guess the first and the last, or the first and the last, depending on how you look at it. They're spaced in 2 inches from this edge. That way it allows me, when I build the filler panels, they can overlap the dash here and not get into the quick latches. So beyond that, we are spaced equidistantly. We have 4 quick latches that will go on the top of the dash, as I said. And this is roughly a center line between the edge of the dash here and this hump, or this radius, which might be difficult to see on camera, but there is a little bump in the dash right there. So this is the flattest portion on the top side, and the best place to put the quick latches in, or on the top side of the dash rather. So I can go ahead now and drill my pilot holes, and with those pilot holes I can start to figure out roughly the structure of these tabs, and we can start moving forward from there. Now we have all 4 of the quick latches put into the dash, just roughly for the time being. Nothing is completely tight or permanently tight at this point. They're just there mocked up, so we can throw the dash back into the car and start figuring out the construction of the tabs to house the posts and to actually have these things be able to be mounted into the car. So I guess let me go over and throw the dash back in, although I probably have to pull a couple of things out first. Yeah, let me pull the steering shaft out, get a few other things cleaned up on the 2 floorboards, the passenger and driver floorboards, and then we can throw this in and start figuring out the rest of this. I have the two outside dash mounts in place that, believe it or not, actually ended up being the more difficult ones to get to and to put into place. But they're in now. This driver's side one is cooling off still. The passenger side one is good to go. So not the prettiest things in the world, but they do their job just fine. You can see the post there. It is triangulated and all is well there. I did this one on camera. The passenger side I did off camera as I was waiting for camera batteries to charge and did not want to wait any longer than I had to start accomplishing this task, as it is a little bit time consuming. But now that we have these two outside ones completed, once this cools off, I can put the dash back in its place and get to figuring out the lengths of strip stock that I need for the two center mounts, get those put in, then we can move on to the side mounts, and before long, we'll have the dash installed in this thing, and that will be one big item off of the to-do list for this car, and one that I was dreading doing. So let's, I guess we'll wait a few minutes for that to cool down, and then continue on with this project. Now we have the top four quick latches put into place, and the dash now holds itself in place, which is a huge step forward, and the hardest part is over with now. So unfortunately, this one, the ball bearing, or one of the ball bearings on the inside came out, so I will have to replace it. But the other three are all in place where they need to be, and they firmly hold the dash in place. So huge victory, but we aren't quite done yet. So we need to secure the sides of the dash now. And I guess let's walk over here where I can get a little bit better, or get in here a little bit better. And we need to secure the side here. You can see it's still pretty floppy. So we're going to do kind of the same thing that we did with the top, where we're going to make little pedestal mounts for it using some inch wide, 1/8 inch thick, just steel strip stock, nothing fancy. But I will need to punch a hole in both sides of the dash first, so that way the quick latches can actually go into place. So let me figure out where I'm going to put those holes at, and then we can get to this, get to the sides, and then see if it needs a mount in the center as well. In looking at how I'm going to mount the sides of the dash a little bit more, I ended up getting pretty lucky. And what I mean by that is I won't have to build pedestal mounts. So let me thread the nuts off of this post here. Come on, there we go. All right, so the way that these ended up, which I'm going to slide you guys in here, you may be able to see, may not, hopefully you will be able to. If I put the post into the quick latch and latch it in, this goes right up against the cage bar. And it's the same on the other side, although it will go straight into the side of the bar. So rather than build pedestal mounts and make my life more complicated than it needs to be, I'm going to weld those posts directly to the cage. Now, I usually don't like doing this with fasteners. However, the fact that these are not threaded fasteners makes it so I don't mind doing it as much. The reason that I like to, or that I avoid doing something like this with a threaded fastener, is threads can get messed up. They can get destroyed, you can pull a thread, so on and so forth. And if you have a threaded post on a cage or something along those lines, you're kind of married to that, which is the same reason when I build catch cans or fluid cans or anything like that, I like to have the AN portion be removable. So in the event that you mess the taper up, mess the threads up, what have you, you have an easier chance, or you have an easier way or a better chance of being able to save that piece as opposed to having to cut and weld and maybe save it, maybe not. So there's a little bit of my philosophy on building parts for cars, but I digress. So I'm going to go ahead and weld the post on this side. Then I can measure, cut the post down for the other side, weld it on, and in a very short period of time, we'll have the dash fastened all the way across the top on both sides, and then we can examine how it needs to be fastened in the center, if it needs to be fastened there at all. The dash is back in the car, all clipped into place, and it fits very well. So the two side braces, they did exactly what I wanted them to. Although the driver's side's a little bit difficult to get installed, as you saw me struggling a little bit in the time lapse, but that's no big deal. This dash shouldn't need to come in or out of the car very often, so it doesn't really bother me that much if it's a little bit difficult to get in or out. So it sits nice and sturdy. Well, as sturdy as it's going to be with these style latches, but the center definitely does need a latch as well. However, I bought a set of 8 and had the one fall apart on me, and another one of them would not latch. So thank you, Amazon, thank you, China, for providing me with the best materials that I could imagine. So I'll need to order a couple more of those, but no big deal. No harm, no foul. And if I can save some money and have to buy a couple sets of them, whatever. Not going to lose sleep over it. So beyond this project, I have been working on a little bit of wiring at my house, which we'll go to a little clip now of me doing that, and I'll catch you guys after you watch that little clip. Hey everyone, a little bit of after hours work for you guys, and I guess welcome to my house. And I'm sitting in the living room right now. Ouch. Ooh, foot cramp. Ooh, foot cramp. All right, there we go. But sitting in the house right now, and don't expect really much more of a tour than this, but we are working on the wiring harness, or the flying lead rather. And hanging out with my friends Johnny and Ice as we are doing this. And what we are doing is going through wire by wire and doing 3 tests on them. We are testing to make sure that they are in the position on the connectors that the pinout sheet claims that they are. We are testing to make sure that the pin is secured properly into each one of the connectors. And we are also testing continuity of the wire to make sure there are no breaks that we can't see underneath of the sheathing for each one of the wires. And I would do this with any harness that I got. It is obviously not just something, it can't be just attributed to Pro EFI. If I got a harness from Motec, from AEM, Altec, from any manufacturer, I would be doing the same thing. It's just a little due diligence check to make sure that when you actually begin the process of wiring, you don't run into any surprises. And it pays to do it now as opposed to trying to do it as you are actually building a harness. So what we have so far is I've grouped these into different bundles. And the different bundles are what we have with these coils. This is bundle 4, bundle 1, bundle 3, bundle 2. And I've tried to do this such that wires that serve a similar purpose or are grouped similarly in the harness, or will be utilized similarly in the harness, are included into the same bundle. So like we can see all of these yellow wires here in bundle 2 are all pull-up wires. Bundle 1, all pull-down wires. We have this section, bundle 3, that incorporates the cam sensor as well as the different CAN wires. Have all of these DG wires that are in bundle 4, and we have not done bundle 5 yet. So that's what I'll be working on now. So you'll see that it's a little bit of a time-consuming, arduous process to do this, and one that, for all intents and purposes, you could not do prior to beginning a wiring project. But as I said a little while ago, if you do not do this as a preliminary check, then you just leave yourself wide open for the possibility of running into issues as you are actually wiring the car, and then you're doing diagnostic work as opposed to actually running wires and making things actually work. So all of that aside, I'm going to set you guys over on my TV stand, do a little time lapse of doing some of these wires, and you'll see, I guess, exactly what I'm doing. So let's get to it. So after that little bit, we have bundle 5 all traced and all verified via the testing that I'm doing. So had 2 wires that threw me for a little bit of a loop. As you saw, I had to run up to the garage to grab a little screwdriver and take the relay apart, as pin J2A18 and J2A19, which are these 2 red wires right here on the connector. Now the lighting's probably not the best, but these 2 that my thumb are touching, or my thumb is touching rather, those go into this pin on the main relay here. And their function is 12-volt switched input from main relay. So that, before I started tracing the whole way down the harness, I saw that it listed a portion of the relay there and went, oh, that's probably where those go, and suspicions were correct. Just had to take the relay apart to test continuity, and everything tested nicely. So we just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wires, and it took that much time. So you can see that this is a little bit of a time-consuming process. The next bundle that I will do will be all of the coil wires, then all of these bridges, then all of the injectors, and so on and so forth. And I believe that we have a little bit more to do on the back side as well. But like I said, I'm doing every single wire. It's going to take a little while, but I would rather do this than be left guessing or hoping when it comes time to actually wire the car that everything is good to go. So, hang on my friends a little bit there. That will probably be about it for this little intermission in this video. Not sure where this video is going to fall in the scheme of all the other clips and what video it's going to end up in, but thanks for tuning in for the little intermission. Hopefully it makes sense what I am doing, and better me than you to sit and have to do all of these wires this way. But again, thanks for tuning in, and let's get back to the video now. So as you can see, I've been playing quite a bit of wire spaghetti over at my place, but slowly but steadily, I will get through that whole harness, get everything organized, tested, so on and so forth, and make sure that I'm not walking into any issues prior to starting to string wires in the car. Beyond that, and going somewhat with wiring, somewhat with fluid delivery, we had some new parts come in today. They're sitting over on my white table right here. And we have the core for the transmission cooler, we have the fan for the transmission cooler, and we also have the electric water pump. And this is one of the Davies Craig EWP 150s, which looks like a cute little turbocharger, but it is, in fact, the electric water pump for the car. So a lot of people will use these either as engine water pumps or intercooler water pumps or both of those. And people rant and rave about them, so I figured I would give it a shot and see how it works. And nice little compact package, which will make it very easy to mount this somewhere in the engine bay. And it is set up for number 16 ORB fittings, both on the in and the out already. And I guess they also give you the option to run these, which I haven't read through the instructions. I'm not going to take a guess what those are, but have a couple of clamps that I will not end up using. Comes with a relay, comes with its own little wiring harness, relay holder, so on and so forth, and pretty nifty little kit. So I ended up getting all of these parts through Bell Intercoolers. They are my go-to for anything heat exchanger related. And now I guess water pump related, Spall fan related. Those guys are awesome. Jonathan, thank you very much for always taking care of me over there, and I cannot thank you enough. So with all that being said, that is going to be the end of this video. Unfortunately, I can't go any farther with the dash and get the center of it secured until I get more quick latches in, or knockoff quick latches rather. So I'm kind of stuck at a lull right now until I can get some more parts in. But we'll be back shortly to do some more work on this thing, to knock out other parts of the project, check more boxes, and check more items off of the to-do list. But until then, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you guys in the next one.